Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start right now. Good evening, everybody. Everybody's muted, so for the purpose of questions, you can just write it and we can answer any question. I am going to be the moderator for the seminar, webinar, whatever we want to call it. I hope everybody knows me, Isa Ishaq. It is a series of our webinars and seminars that we're doing for the purpose of benefiting everybody from Beit Sahur. It's free and we put some time and effort, so we hope that people will come so they can get the benefit of what we're preparing for them. And I do believe that today is one of the most important seminars because it's all about taxes and retirement plans, and we are in the season of taxes. And if you are a business owner, this is a subject that you talk about all year long. So we decided, just in order to make it informal, ask your accountants. We're going to ask the questions, they're going to answer it, go in details about some questions. We're going to talk about retirement plans that's available that you can use it in order to take advantage of the taxes. And then we're going to open the subject for anybody to ask any question specific. So we have 1 hour. We got plenty of material to cover. Everybody knows we have Sahir Hilal and Fadi Rishmawi. I mean, between both of them, we have 35 years of experience. So it's going to be great tonight. And I am going to start my question first to Sahir. Is there anything you can do if you did not receive your stimulus check?
Well, actually, there's introduction.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Oh, you want to do that?
That's okay. That's okay. Good evening, everybody. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
Kind of like just reverse a little bit. I was kind of in the throw a little introduction about the seminar for tonight, but the most important things in life is to go to your doctor for some special needs. And I think accountant considered to be doctor of finance. In order for you to get your tax liability lowered, I believe you have to contact your tax preparer before the end of each year. The reason is that way you can do some tax planning. And tonight we're going to try to help you out with getting a lot of tax planning done right before your tax season is over. Just because when you plan things, the results of tax liability always becomes to your benefit and it becomes more in your favor, and you could actually, when you do your spending, you might be able to get some tax deduction from some of the spendings that you have in hand. And in real life out there, people are either two types. Either they an employee or they are self-employed. And there is difference between the two types here. There's two different methods of liability, tax liability accrued as you're building the tax return for these type of people, or two type of taxpayers. The W-2 versus the self-employed. The W-2 is more of a straightforward tax return. And we're looking at the straight income that comes in a form of W-2, which is when you work for an employer, and you have to work down your liability with, to get to the bottom line of it. And one of the challenges when you want to try to reduce your taxable income is building your Schedule A. In the United States, the Schedule A versus a standard deduction is a very important number to reduce your tax liability on the tax form. And me and Sahir, as my colleague here tonight, we want to try to start first going through the Schedule A and also tell you guys how you could prepare yourself to get the maximum of those deductions on that schedule. I will go back to the moderator to start with his first question to Sahir, then we'll jump to that.
Before your first question, Isa,
Yes.
some important information you guys need to know about the due date. The due date this year, a lot of people are thinking it's going to be delayed. Nothing is delayed. It's April 15 is still the due date, and March 15 is still the due date for the S corporations. And then if you want to extend, you can extend, but you'll have to plan for that soon. About that, you want to go ahead and answer the question?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Fad, you wanted to introduce, to say introduction, and
That's okay.
I'm going fast, I guess. So the first question I wanted to ask Sahar, is there anything you can do if you did not receive your stimulus check? Now we know that there is one coming, but we're talking about the past one. If you did not receive it, is there anything you can do?
هلا كثير ناس المضبوط عمرهم 17 سنة أو أكبر كانوا تحت أهاليهم ديبندنت تحت أهاليهم. اللي صار معهم هذول إنه الأهالي ما حصلوا الستيمولس تبعهم. فهذول الناس شو بيقدروا يعملوا هلا؟ إذا هم اشتغلوا وسووا أي إنكم وهم فوق ال 17 سنة, when they file their taxes, they can go recover the rebate credit. This is all the stimulus check that we get, the first one and the second one. It's recovered when they file their taxes. So they just have to let the accountant know that we didn't get our first or second and we didn't get both. So you can go ahead and file it and ask for both of them, the $600 and the $1,200. And my advice for anyone over 17 years old, if he have any income, don't stay dependent under your family. Go file by yourself and get these two stimulus checks. It's worth $1,800.
Yes, that's true. It's very true. Okay. Second question is for Fadi. What credit affect your tax liability, and is the solar system credit still available?
This is one of the items that fall under the tax credit against your tax liability. And as Isa asked the question about the solar system, this is the end of that credit. This year, it's going to be at 26% of the total cost. If you ever had any solar system built at your house, you actually could get 26% tax credit from the total cost of the solar. And next year will be the end of this credit. Therefore, if you're planning to have any solars, you really should use it. And to come along with the credits of the solars, there's other credits that we're not aware of as taxpayers. And I always bring it up to my clients. And I ask, did you ever change your furnace to an energy efficient? Did you ever put a fan to reduce your, heat liability? Did you ever replace your window? Did you do insulation? There is $500 cap credit that you could take it against your taxes. And this credit is available out there for people who have done those energy efficiencies. Please remember that for your future.
Okay, thank you, Fadi. All right. I don't know how many teachers we have out there, but is there any benefit for the teachers these days?
Okay. Before I answer these questions, I have
Great question.
I know, because Sally, we wanted it, you and the deal.
Yeah, before I answer these questions, I need to let you know, guys, there is, in accounting and taxes, there is something called deduction and something called credit. How the difference between these two? The tax deduction will lower your adjusted gross income, so thus reduces your tax liability. Tax credit, it's go dollar by dollar to reduce your tax bill. هلا اللي فادي حكى عنه قبل شويه كان tax deduction. هلا بالنسبه للسؤال اللي سالوه عيسى educator this year was still the same, actually there's nothing new, is 250 per teacher, but the different this year انه انت بتقدر تنقص اذا اشتريت ماسك, ادوات التنظيف, اي شيء بخص COVID-19 that you spend as a teacher for your class, you can deduct it up to 250, and if both parents are teacher, they can deduct $500.
Wow.
And the teachers, you get $250.
Sally, did you hear that? You can do $250.
مسامحينهم في $250.
Okay.
But thank you, sir.
You're welcome. If you have any college students.
No. Before the college.
Oh, this, okay. Fadi, is there any benefit for children under the age of 13?
This also falls under the tax credit from your tax liability. This is what it's out there for people who have children under the age of 13, which is the daycare credit. If you have a child who has been gone to a daycare, you can get up to a $600 per child, which is translated to 35% of the maximum of $3,000. If you have two children attending a daycare, you actually could get up to $1,200 of tax credit on your tax return. This is also another big benefits out there. People should look into it. And if you hire, let's say, your elderly that has no tax liability, and you want to, use them as their nanny, let's say, by putting their social security number on the tax return, you still qualify for those credits. I really encourage people to look into it.
Okay, now this question is mainly for me, but everybody can get the benefit of it because I do have 2 college students. So
Isa, you can't ask no questions.
I mean, I'm gonna get the benefit of them, but everybody else who have college kids
Go
can
ahead
get
and do it. That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
All right. If you have a college student, is there any credit available for them, Sam?
Yes, there is 2 credit available for them. The most famous credit that everybody know about is the American Opportunity Credit, and the other credit is the Lifetime Credit. راح أعطي تفاصيل بينهم. الأمريكان Opportunity Credit only for college students, only can used for 4 years. 2,500 maximum, 40% from the 2,500 is deductible, which is $1,000. The limit refundable. The limit, the AGI cannot be more than $180,000. If you make more than $180,000, you cannot get this credit. The other credit is the lifetime credit. Lifetime credit, you don't have to be attending college. You could do undergraduate, you can take course, you be graduate, you can take it if you take anything. If you're improving yourself in your professional, you're taking courses, you could use that credit. It is not refundable. It is only $2,000. The AGI for this credit is $138,000. If you make more than that, you cannot get this credit. And let's see if there is any other information. No, that's it. I think I covered it all.
Okay, thank
ساهر
you.
انت
Sam.
يعني بس بتحكي على الاندرجراد.
لا.
Undergrad, American Opportunity Credit only for undergrad.
Right. Lifetime is for master degree
يعني-
or other.
يعني فور اكزامبل اذا عندك ابنك اخذ اول درس في الجامعه وهي خلص اول 4 سنين، هلا ما بيقدر يستخدم هذا الكريدت. He have to use the other credit.
But he can use the other credit if he's in
Yes.
the grad.
The other credit is not limited. Yeah, you can use it for
You can use it, but it's only maximum to $2,000
$2,000.
in credit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
If you guys like for us to give the life example, please ask the
We can do it,
questions.
yes.
We're here. We got a whole hour to waste. We only went through 15 minutes and
Yes.
everything's. We're almost toward the end of the interview. If you guys
No,
want us to give
still
life
have time.
examples, let us know.
In the meanwhile, also, if anybody have questions, you can always ask. You can stop us. We can answer it. But this question, we really wanted to elaborate much about it because I know a lot of people, when they do it, they make the mistakes, and we see it. When you do your insurance, your health insurance through the healthcare.gov, there is a problem there. A lot of people want to lower their estimate for their income, and they get hit if their income was higher than their estimate. And now the biggest problem is with the unemployment. So I'm going to let Fadi elaborate much about this, because a lot of people with the unemployment income, they might have to pay a lot of taxes because they estimated their income a year before to be low. So I'm going to let Fadi elaborate on this.
In regard to this marketplace, what we call it marketplace in the terminology of taxation, the marketplace usually issues form 1095A. And this form, it has like different columns where it shows the actual premium and how much the government kind of helped you to offset the rest of the premium, which what you would pay out of your pocket. That obsession, it's actually a tax advance payment. That's part of your like tax consequences for that year. If you go to the marketplace and you kind of estimate your income low, what happens is they advance more tax payments into the premium, and you make your premium, your actual premium, lower. When you come to file your taxes and we reconcile that form on the tax return, you will end up seeing that you're owing the government a lot more to offset what in reality your income would look like if you ever, if you told them the real income. Yani for instance, if you told them you made $80,000 and they say the premium for a family was $1,000, help you with $800 in tax advance payment, and you pay them $200 every month. Come to file your taxes, you are above that the number that you mentioned when you actually purchased the insurance, and you became over $90,000. You phase out all this tax advance payment. You got to pay it back toward when you file your taxes, and that would be a large consequences for not your tax planning your file correctly. What Isa's saying, the unemployment could be a screw up this year, because the unemployment kind of came and surprised everybody with increased income that wasn't in preparation for when they went to the marketplace and obtained a marketplace insurance, coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Please be aware to take that form with you to your tax preparer, because if you don't file it, you're not getting your refund. I'm sorry, I had clients missed to give it to me a few years ago, last year, and they waited almost 6 months until the government reconciled their account.
Yep.
And that, that's an issue you guys need to look into. What else? It's really affects your refund. You really need to look into it.
Yeah, so basically, if you're going to refund of $1,000, you're going to have to pay on top of it the difference of what the government helped you with your health insurance. So it could be a big bill that you have to pay come April 15 if you don't plan it right when you do your health insurance. When you renew it comes November.
Right.
بعدين لما كانت الحكومه الجديده موجوده كمان one more issue ترامب او يعني حكومته طلعوا حكوا انه ما بلزم انك ترجع انشورنس no more. There is no penalty. But there is still هلا a lot of people بطل يجيبوا لنا اياه 1095A. هذا كان يحكي فيه فادي. احنا we didn't file it. People thinking انه you don't have to show it no more. فلا اذا انت بتشتغل الهيلث كفرج you still have to show it and you still have to file it.
Correct.
Russia, Ukraine, and what else?
You need to mute them.
عيسى لما ساهر يحكي وجه عليه الكاميرا please.
Well, I tried. That's what I tried to do. There you go. All right. Well, this question is for Sahar. The stock market is a big subject these days. What do you advise the youth and other investors?
اوكي انا اللي لاحظته السنه هاي صراحه انه كل الشباب الصغار خصوصا احنا عندنا من بيت سحور الصغار والكبار يعني قاعدين بيشتغلوا بالماركت از جامبلينج يعني بيحسبوا حالهم بدهم they're gonna be rich in one day. فاللي صار معهم يعني انهم دخلوا في شيء جديد فيش عندهم خبره سابقه فيه من مره they don't know what they're doing. اللي صار كالتالي هلا انه هذول الناس في شيء في الستوك ماركت اسمه واش سيل. يعني انت لما تشتري سهم إذا بتبيعه بخسارة ممنوع ترجع تشتريه إلا ل 30 days. You have to wait 30 days. إذا بتشتريه قبل ال 30 days اللي بيصير معك إنه هاي الخسارة اللي أنت خسرتها ما بنقصوا لك إياها في التاكسز. فاللي صار بالضبط مع كثير ناس أنا اليوم فرجيت في هذا ستيتمنت واحد عنده واش سيل ب $90,000.
Explain what wash sale, sir, please, because people don't understand it. Yeah, sorry, but
go ahead.
I know you had mentioned it, but when you do fast trades on the your engine, which is Robinhood or E-Trade or TD Ameritrade, when you do fast trades on a day-to-day basis, within the hour or so, the stock broker will not recognize that at your basis, and therefore you'll end up paying taxes on the whole amount that you traded with. Really, the consequence is very steep. It's an ordinary income.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do, my advice to everybody, is to do long-term investment. يعني روح اشتغل في الشركات الكبيرة. Waited a year and one day. شو different؟ يعني different إنه أنت إذا بتسوي long-term investment, الريت بيكون for the single person, the first $40,000 you make, you pay nothing, zero. For married filing jointly, $80,000, the first $80,000 you make, you get nothing. At the same time, if you do daily trading and you get hit with and the income that you make, let's say you was lucky and you make some money, This money gonna go to your ordinary income. It's gonna raise your income. It's gonna change your insurance. It's gonna make a lot of things that you're not expecting, you're not planning for. So my advice is to plan and go for the long run. Do it the way it should be done. That daily trading, I don't think is like 90% of people losing, only 10% will get lucky and make some money from it.
Asa, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I have two questions. First, when you sell stocks or you have a capital gain, is there a way to not be taxed for that capital gain in any way or form? That's the first question. And the second question, if you establish new companies, whether it's an S Corp or an LLC, are there non-business expenses that you could take advantage of to deduct from your basically LLC income, or to add expenses? They call it maybe a setup. I was told that there's a setup expenses that you could actually take advantage of. Can you elaborate on that?
Go ahead.
Okay, the first question, the only way that you're not paying any tax on the money you make from trading is to wait a year and sell it after a year. If you do it, if you sell it before 1 year, it's going to be ordinary income. It's going to go to your income. If you waited 1 year, as we said before,
It transfers to a different type of tax. It becomes capital
Long-term,
gain. It'll be a long-term capital gain.
yes.
And if you claim less than $40,000 in your taxes, you actually walk away free. And you and your wife will be $80,000. You'll walk away free from the capital gain. But if you actually end up getting taxed on it, it'll be based between 15% to 20% based on your income. There is a slope that you have to follow. The advice, which is Isa, myself, and Sahir, we tell those guys, please hold on to your stocks unless if you're in a rush for emergencies. Don't buy because the rumor says today you're going to make 2 pennies. That's not the right way to handle it.
What about the capital gains that come from mutual funds? So mutual funds are long-term investments, right? And towards the end of the year, you get capital returns from whatever the fund manager does, and then you get dividends, right? Even though they're long-term capital gains or long-term dividends. But let's say that those are reinvested into my funds. Does that do those like gains get taxed?
Those are recognized on your income as income, subject to income tax, because those dividends actually they're part of your ordinary income because they're reinvested up on top of what you already have. The company would issue a dividends based on the shares that you're holding in their portfolio. They are taxable. To answer your question, they are taxable.
See, the problem with them,
even the reinvested capital.
The problem with the mutual funds, it's not that you sold, it's the manager of the funds have sold and changed stocks. That's where you get hit. And you say, well, I did not sell my stock, mutual funds. I'm still holding in the same thing. Why did I get a bill? It's because the fund manager who's been holding on these stocks sold them for that year and bought different stocks. So that's what happened.
And that's basically, I don't want to get into that subject, the GameStop issue, when it hit so high, that was one part of the games, which is the young people found out about it and it became a ballistic. But going back to Amjad in regard to the LLC, the capital cost, yes, you can. If you could put it under amortization in your schedule of assets, in Schedule C, and you could maybe divide that over like a couple of years and take a deduction on that.
But just to elaborate on the capital gain, I'm sorry, but if you sold, let's say, a property that has a capital gain, can you transfer, instead of paying taxes on that capital gain, can you actually buy another property?
1031 exchange, keep basis the same.
Yes, within 6 months.
Does that apply to the stocks? Does that apply to the stocks or strictly the properties?
No. It doesn't apply to the stocks. This is 1031 for only property.
Assets, tangibles.
Yes, not for the stocks.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you.
As we're going through the Schedule A, we might mention something you like to do later on. As I started my conversation in the very beginning with the introduction, we talked about Schedule A, which is the itemization versus standard deduction. As we all well aware, the standard deduction has been for the last couple of years since the Trump arena, changed it. The standard deduction for singles was $12,400. For married filing jointly is $24,800. And what he did after that, he took away the exemptions, which is the number of family members. There was an exemption before, there is no longer that exemption exists. Now, these days when we prepare tax returns and taxpayer walking into our offices, they bring in with them their property tax statement, they bring in their mortgage statement with the interest paid, the points, they bring in their charities, they bring in some other stuff that might belong to Schedule A. If they do not build that schedule to exceed the standard deduction, we, as a tax preparer, we choose to go with the higher number to give the client better results. And how to help you maintain, to build your Schedule A. Me and Sar, we're going to go through a scenario here to tell you what goes in that schedule, what do you need to kind of track to help yourself to build that schedule, and hopefully we could answer some of the charity questions that you have. On the top of that schedule, we start with medical and dental expenses. Anything you pay for medical, like health premium, co-payment to doctors, dental, prescription, even mileage to the doctor, you could put it in that box, but there's something triggers that, which is 7.5% of your AGI. As an example, if you made $40,000 in AGI, the 7.5% of that will be $3,000. Then these medical expenses has to exceed the $3,000 to be added into that column to go against your itemized deduction versus standard. That's one of the subjects. And the second subject will be in the second column will be your taxes. And taxes here is not limited, and it's include like your real property tax. Let's say you bought a house for $500,000 and you live in a very fancy neighborhood and your property tax $12,000 in that house. The government only allows you to take on your Schedule A only $10,000. You actually lost $2,000 from your property tax. You cannot include it. Even though if you can add to it your local and state withholdings, you can add to it your license plate fees, you can add to it whatever you add into that. It could be 40,000. You only limit it to 10,000. You see how they locked it out? Because they don't want people to use the schedule as much. And the next step will be like your interest paid on the mortgages that you obtained for principal residence. And that comes on a form that comes from every bank or lender institution that you use, called 1098I. That's the form that we use. The fourth column and the fourth line item is the charity, and that's one of the changes. Sahar could say on that.
Okay, the charity, actually what happened this year, it used to be a limit for 60% from your gross income. That's the limit that you can give to the charity. This year in 2020, they canceled that, and you could donate up to 100% from your taxable income. That's one change. And the other change, you can deduct automatically $300 above the line deduction. So everybody, even if you itemize or if you don't itemize, you still can deduct up to $300. And they're talking about next year, it will be $600. And the other thing that you can deduct from the itemized deduction is the...
we run into, casualty and theft and losses. Usually a lot of people don't use that line item, but the other stuff, which is like
the gambling.
We see here in our area where we work with a lot of people, they own a lot of party stores, and a lot of times they cash lottery tickets. And this lottery ticket, they come to us and they say, why I'm getting taxed on this? I lost the same amount in the market, in the machine, or going to the casino, what have you. Okay, the gambling falls into the Schedule A. If you cannot build your Schedule A, that gambling losses to offset the gains is not going to affect you. Therefore, you're really going to end up paying taxes on it unless if you pass the standard deduction that you're falling in for.
And you can deduct only to the total of winning. You cannot deduct more than that. If you win 10,000, you only can deduct 10,000. And only if you itemize. If you don't itemize, you cannot take this deduction.
Basically, the gambling hits you. Going back to the charity, as I was doing this research, and I ran into it with a couple of my clients in the past, let's say you have a good stock portfolio. You really have a great gain in there. And you always worried, hey, if I cash this stock portfolio, am I going to get with capital gain? I don't want to pay it, I want to pass it on. One of the best vehicles out there that you could donate portion of that stock portfolio into a charity without paying any capital gain on it. And basically, all what you got to do is very simple and basic. You call your broker house and you tell them, hey, from my portfolio, I want to pass on to this charity, and you give them the detailed information, this much of money from my portfolio. Let's say you got $500,000 there. If you want to cash 100 out of it, you're paying, let's say, the 15% tax on it. If you pass it from the back straight to the charity, you're actually escaping the tax liability on that, stock. And that's a good way to donate through through your stock portfolio to foundations and charity organizations. I hope you guys given you enough information about Schedule A, but this is a very delicate matter because a lot of people comes with this stuff every time and we end up not using it.
Yes, no, right.
Yeah.
All right. So if nobody have any questions, just wanted to touch base on one thing, which is very important when you do your taxes, but it's very important before you do your taxes, you start working on it. I'm not sure how many people are. Retirement plans. I mean, huge deduction when you file your taxes. Everybody knows that. Are you an employee? Are you participating in the 401k that's or 457 or 403, 401? If you're not participating, you need to. But if you are a self-employed or a business owner, then you really need to look at what's available for you from the government. First, it's something that you will contribute toward your retirement. I mean, this money is for you. And number two, it's 100% deductible. I mean, it can't be any better. You're going to get 100% deductible for opening a retirement plan for yourself, and you're saving money for yourself. I mean, it plays a big role with your adjusted gross income, even if you're not self-employed. $6,000 for you, $6,000 for your wife. That's $12,000. That will lower your adjusted gross income. But for business owners, I mean, it's huge. Simple IRA, $13,500 a business owner can do. SEP IRA, $58,000. 401k, solo 401k, just open one for yourself if you're a business owner by yourself. A solo 401k, $19,500, and if you're over 50, another $6,000. So imagine if you can put $25,000 towards your retirement, and it's fully deductible on your income tax. I'm not sure how many people are taking advantage of what the government laws allow them to do. There's more than one kind. Of course, everybody might be interested in a solo 401k, might want to open a 401k and have his employees contribute money and match it. Want to open a SEP IRA where he can maximize his contribution, because you can put up to 58,000 plus 6,000 if you're over the age of 50. That's huge. So I'm not sure what you are, but these are the available resources for you from the government that you can open and use your deduction immediately before you file your taxes. And if you do have it, then fund it. This is the time to fund it before you file your taxes so you can get the deductions. Of course, IRA rule says you cannot touch the money before the age of 59 and a half, which is basically what you want. You want to keep this money for your retirement. That's the purpose of it. Why do you want to touch it before? There is Roth IRA that you can open, and it's tax-free when you take the money out. 100% tax-free on the gain. If you contribute 60,000 in your lifetime and you gain 60,000, that's $120,000 of tax-free money when you take it out at the age of 59 and a half or after that. Why not?
So I have a question on the IRA. sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you, but I noticed a problem that I had in the last couple of years. I contribute to my 401k and my IRA, but I have a traditional IRA, right? Not a Roth. And even though I contributed to it, at the end of the year when I did my taxes, I couldn't get money back on it.
You can't, because you're putting money towards your 401k. You still can open an IRA. It's subject to the adjusted gross income.
Right.
You still can, but subject to your adjusted gross income, but it cannot be deductible. So that's why you're putting the money, but you're not getting the benefit of the tax deduction.
Yes.
So my advice to you, unless you are maximizing on your 401k, which is 19,500, then you're doing great if you want to put money into the IRA. Yes.
Use the Roth. I wouldn't use traditional.
Yeah, and if you want to open
Growth
an
rate.
additional one,
Yeah.
instead of IRA, then do a Roth IRA. Because it's tax-free when you take the money out, and it's not deductible anyways.
It's not too late to go back and convert the one you did.
He has to pay the taxes for the year.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can convert
I guess
it, and
I
you
was
have
trying
to
to
report.
with the traditional, I was trying to see if I can get any tax benefits, because kind of like it's kind of like a traditional 401k, right? But I haven't been getting any tax benefits on it. So
No, you can't, because you have the 401k. You can't. So I just wanted to mention the retirement plans today, because there are huge deductions on your taxes. They save you a lot of money, and they're there for you. So why not take advantage of it? Another subject that we wanted just to touch base with is the college 529 plans. I'm not sure how many people we have here who have kids. They're young. You need to start right now opening a 529 plans and putting money to them. Every dollar you gain is tax-free as long as it's used for college. So take advantage of the tax-free money that you can make in the stock market, in a CD. It doesn't matter. You can invest the money wherever you want to invest it. But every dollar of gain is tax-free. On the state level, 529 plans is deductible up to $10,000 of contribution, of course. So state of Michigan, for just to say an example, state of Michigan, you can deduct up to $10,000 on your state level taxes. Other states, as far as I know, 43 states allow you the deduction, only 7 states do not. So check with your state to see if it's deductible or not, or of course your accountant will know. But start now, take advantage of the tax-free growth that you can have. This is what the government allows you to do, so why not take advantage of it? So we just wanted to touch base with you guys on the retirement plans. If anybody have any questions on the limits, we can answer these questions. That's all I want to talk about, the retirement. So right now, if anybody have any questions for either Fadi or Sahir or me, of course, you can ask us. But as far as the questions that we have prepared for you guys, that's important. If there are no questions, we have something that we want to tell you. I think everybody will be interested in listening to it, but let's open it for questions first and see if anybody have any concerns, questions for us.
يعني مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
يعني احنا بدنا شويه نسوي لايف اكزامبلز يعني على موضوع الكوليدج ستودنتس. هلا انا في عندي 3 كوليدج ستودنتس. انا بسوي لهم سيبرت الانكم تاكس، بسوي لهم سيبرت.
مبسوط.
Lost your Imad. Please repeat. You said something. You have 3 kids and you
3 kids in the college.
What I do يعني انا بسوي لهم كل واحد انكم تاكس لحاله. يعني from last year, like before 2 years, last year and this year, like through كلهم في الكوليدج 3. فبسوي لهم زيحهم الانكم تاكس تبعي، يعني عارف كيف؟
Separate tax return, which is fair. But when you do separate, are you still claiming them or they claim themselves?
They claim themselves. هم يسووا claim themselves.
How much income are they showing, or what kind of income are they showing there?
Well, we show them income I give them checks. Yeah, I just told them that I give them check for my business.
Sure.
I give them checks. Yeah, I show them that they are working like as a cashier, like whatever, stockers. So
Sure.
they have income because like I put them like separate income tax. But usually the money it comes from me. Whenever they pay their tuition, them cash. So they put it in their bank account and they show that they're paying like their college. So what's your recommendation for that?
Ahmad, what's exactly the question? Is the recommendation for you mean
recommendation into tax expertise?
Okay. What you're doing is fairly the common procedure for people who show good income in their tax return, because it phases out if you're showing a lot of income as a parent. It's better to move it to the kids. That way you could gain that credit. If they have been in college for 4 years and less toward the degree, which is the American opportunity, there is a $2,500 there, which is $1,500 against their income, that's a good way that you've been doing, moving your income to their level, that's a lower tax bracket, and you're gaining the $1,500. That's the credit, from tuition coming to you. Plus, there is $1,000 refundable if they, finish paying the taxes within the $1,500 not refundable. I like the idea. I have used it a lot with my wealthy clients because that's called distribution of wealth, basically. And instead of building wealth in one file with the dad, we kind of pass it along to the kids. If this would answer your question, or if you have a different question, that's what I understood from you. That would be my plan.
Because I calculated with my CPA, it's better for us to do it separate for them because they get it cost me less money in paying income tax.
He's right. Yes. You're absolutely right. That's a straight planning. Yes, absolutely.
That's true.
You're doing the right thing.
You're doing the right thing.
Anybody else? Yes. Yes.
هو مش question لأنه هو ساهر جاوبه، بس أنا بدي أتأكد من الجواب. هلا مثلا أنا مجد ابني الصغير أبوه إحنا هو ديبندنت عنا، فهو ما صحلش الستيمولس تشيكس. هو بيشتغل طول عمره بيشتغل. هلا إحنا شو يسوي هلا this tax لازم يقدم لحاله ويطالب بالأثر رجعي الستيمولس تشيكس تبعاته.
Yes. When he filed himself, he has to tell his accountant that I didn't receive my stimulus check, and his accountant will get it back for him.
When we prepare taxes, we ask two questions: how much did you receive for the first stimulus? How much you received for the second? And who did receive it? If we find somebody over the age of 17 who did not receive it, our recommendation is to build a separate file, take them away from the parents to their own. Even though they don't have income, we still could file them with no income, and we will get them back the $1,800 they were qualified for. And they actually
he will get them as tax credit or as cash money?
Tax return.
Tax refund. He will get the money.
Those are the advance credit. They give it to the people as advance credit. When he filed his taxes.
Jazzy.
He will get a cut.
Another question.
Yes.
And as an example, another question. So in 2017, 2020, we filed two college students as their separate income tax. So now the other kid, which is 18 years old, we file it and he got the income, the refund from the stimulus from last year, 2020.
Yes, if he filed by himself this year, he will get both stimulus. He get $1,800 worth of stimulus. Yes.
Yes.
So for
100%.
2020, okay, I get you.
Yes.
And,
right. When you file 2020, if he did not get any of his recovery payment from last year, which is the $1,200 for adults and $600, for the second one, he actually will be qualified.
So that's for 2020.
Yes. 2020 tax return.
And in case if it doesn't show, if it doesn't, somebody doesn't have W-2 form. I'm talking like
He could file it with zero income. He still could file it with zero income and get it, even just the tuition. Yeah.
assuming that he's in the college, yes.
يا بس انت في الحاله هاي بجوز بدك تحسب، بدك تشوف المحاسب تبعك وشوف which is better، انه تحطه تحتك ولا تحطه لحاله وتاخذ 1800.
انا بحكي عن حاله ناس ثانيين هلا، عارف كيف؟
Yeah, I know. They have to check with their accountant and make sure which is better, to file the kid or let him file by himself.
And remember, they're going to lose the credit, the tax credit for the child.
They lose tax credit for what?
The parents will lose the tax credit for the child.
Yeah, I know. That's yeah.
Yeah, so that the accountant will tell them which one is best for the return, for the maximum return. Anybody else? Any questions before we go to the final subject?
Yeah, I have.
السؤال اللي كان على الفورم بليز إذا بيقدروا يجاوبوه تبع الريل ستيت وبانك اكاونتس اوفرسيز.
اللي عندهم ريل ستيت في البلد.
Oh, okay. The question was.
Yeah, for foreign investment and foreign reporting, this been emphasized since 2011. Actually, the United States government asked every citizen to report their income from outside United States parameter, and they have actually to report if they have any bank accounts that has any kind of money in them into FinCEN program. It's a totally side of the tax return. It's a separate form, goes to FinCEN. And if you have an account with any bank outside United States, you have to inform FinCEN about it. What's taxable is your interest and dividend on those accounts. Yani basically, if you, let's say you had Bank Palestine, you got $10,000 sitting there and you made a $10 interest on that money, and Bank Palestine told you made $10, you better add it to your income as dividend and interest line, and you put the $10 and get it taxed. But if you got $10,000 sitting in Bank Palestine, you better send
And always remember, it's a word.
Okay, another question. Another question. واحد من بيت سحور باع قطعة أرض and he wants to transfer the money to the United States.
The last thing, yes. Ahmad, do you have any questions?
Yeah, question. واحد من بيت سحور باع قطعة أرض وبده يجيب مصريات
Very easy. You go to the bank, you deposit your money, you present where the money coming from, and you need to figure out the basis. When did that land became yours? إذا أنت ورثها, which is the date of inheritance. إذا أنت شاريها, date of purchase, and you do the exactly like what you do for capital gain here on your Schedule D, basis and sale price.
Yeah, do it from bank to bank. Don't go for somebody to give you the money cash because you cannot use it here.
And bank to bank.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. Any other questions, guys?
So يعني you could claim a capital loss if you sold the land in Beit Sahur, يعني? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yes. If the bases were lesser than what you sold it for, absolutely.
اللي ببيع ارض في بيت سحور بحطوش على الورقه قديش اشترى وباع، عارف كيف بدك تثبتها.
Well, I understand. Most cases that we dealt with, they were even. يعني we didn't recognize a loss or a gain. يعني I'm not gonna. But in reality, if you get audited, you better bring some kind of an appraisal.
Yeah.
You either get it from the Baladia or you get it from Mukhammin or you get it from somebody. And you know the system now, they got everything recorded.
I had this.
Yeah.
Subject. Yep, you better have something because they will ask for it.
They will ask for it.
They will ask
They do
for
agreement
it.
now.
Yeah.
The lawyers know that they do agreement.
No, now they do.
Yeah.
All right, the last thing we just want to touch base with, I'm sure everybody heard about it. President Biden signed the massive bill today. It's huge, but what is it for us? Is there any advantages? Is there anything that could benefit us? Sahar is going to talk about it and Fadi is going to touch base. That will be our last subject. Then we'll take any questions after that too. Go ahead, Sahar.
Okay, the stimulus check, the third one. قيمته $1,400. What's different between this one and the last one؟ هلا اذا انت خلينا نقول عايش معك ابوك او امك وفيلته تحت التاكس تبعك. In the old one, the first 2 stimulus check, you didn't get nothing for them, and they lose there. In this one, you will get every dependent that you have in your taxes. You will get 1,400 for the dependent, for any dependent, including student. So that's a big thing. And then the other thing is the unemployment. The unemployment, they $300. They move it all the way to September 6th. And what else they have? Okay, and the first 10,000, that's the big thing here. $10,200 from the unemployment is not taxable, and that's for 2020. والناس اللي already فايلوا التاكس تبعهم ودفعوا تاكس على الانمبلويمنت هلا لازم يروحوا يرجعوا للمحاسب تبعهم ويسوي امندمنت ويقيموا هذول ال $10,200. كمان
tax credit, child tax credit.
The child tax credit, they raise it up to $3,000, from $2,000 to $3,000. If it's less for kids less than 6 years old, is $3,600. What's big different this year? We have to wait until we file the taxes to get the credit for this child credit. This year, starting from July to December, you can take half of this credit. If you have 3 kids over between 6 and 17, is $250 for each kid. If it's less than 6 years old, $300. So 3 kids, $250, multiply 3, $750. They're gonna send you a check for $750 from July to December.
You have to go set it up, and according to the bill, you have to go to online and set it up with.
Yeah, they're gonna make in their website.
Be a portal.
Yeah,
be a portal that you have to set.
You can go and set it up.
Yeah.
So
على الانسنتيف ساهر sorry على الانسنتيف checks يعني what's the threshold income for يعني
the threshold they changed it. Yeah, this year they changed threshold actually. It used to be from 150. And then the threshold was you max out at 200. This time is 160. If you do over 160 joint, you max out. 80,000 single, you max out.
Actually, Sahar, just to be on the safe side, it's a $75,000 where you give the 1,400. Yeah, 75 and under for single, yes. 150 for joint. It phases out when it gets out to 80. يعني between 75 to 80, you might get some. يعني
you get $5 less every 100.
Yeah, exactly. يعني there is an equation. There is a spreadsheet that they send out. But that's where the trick, is at. And it's $1,400. Should be coming out soon. And they will reconcile this $1,400 on the next tax season. As we reconcile the first and second stimulus, with 2020 tax return, they will reconcile the 1,400. And please remember, a lot of the people that we've been doing taxes for, we have to dig and find out how much they got for stimulus. Oh, I got it back in April, I don't remember. They will send you a letter, please write it down somewhere, save it in your phone for notes. You have to let your accountant, tax preparer, knowing how much you received, because that's how they reconcile it. Those are the major issue. And for the unemployment, the 10,200, up until now, what we've been hearing is we don't know. The Treasury, which is what we call the Department of IRS, they haven't issued any forms to recap that 10,200. If you feel you want to file your tax return, go ahead and file it. If you want to wait until something comes out, it could be next week, maybe the week later. But deadline's still April 15, no changes.
Yep.
The EIC also credit has changed on some of those, with this bill. They have increased it, especially for single people. And as Imad was saying, for his kids' sake, they were getting like $543. Now it's going to go up to $1,502. When you kind of move, people are single and filing by themselves with low income. They get also an assistance called EIC, Earned Income Credit. That's also went up almost $1,000 for the 2021 tax season.
And one more point. Usually these credit before 2020, you have to make at least 2,500 to get this credit. They cancel that out, so you don't have to make any money, and you still get this.
You
credit.
Still get those credits. Yeah.
Again,
for questions, guys.
So just wanted to give you the good news, because we know that the stimulus has a lot of good news for a lot of people. and Fadi just got this, so we were looking at it. We said we need to discuss this. We have 5 minutes, actually. If anybody have any questions about any subject, we would love to answer it. If not, we can call it tonight. And
We did it.
I'd like from you to deliver a message for our youth about the retirement.
It's just the Sahar have asked me, I mean, is it time for anybody age 15 or age 17 to start a retirement plan? Yes, there is no reason for you. If you have some earned income, and this is important, you must have an earned income. Why not open a Roth IRA? Your maximum is $6,000 a year. I just put 1,000, put 100, put whatever you can. It's money that will grow tax-free for you when you retire. It will grow and you will have a lot of money. If you have an earned income this year, open a Roth IRA and start your contribution. That's my advice. Any dollar you put will help and will compound by the time you're 59 and a half.
What is better in your opinion, Isa? What's better in your opinion for young people to contribute to the Roth or to a traditional 401? Why?
I mean, if they're not making a lot of money, they're not worried about the deduction of the IRA. So might as well just put it in a Roth IRA because they're not making a lot of money.
What's the threshold? What's a lot of money or not a lot and
somebody who's going to college.
If your standard deduction is $12,800 and your payroll W-2 is only close to that number, that's not a lot of money. I would do a Roth because you have no taxable income. If you start passing that $12,800 for a single youth, then there's the tax consequences from 0 to 10% on the first 50,000, and basically I would pay the taxes on the first 50.
Yeah,
and put it for the Roth. My advice as a tax preparer, and maybe he would join me, is a Roth for these people who make less than $60,000. Anybody passes that line, maybe a traditional might be a help.
And we're talking about college kids under the age of 18, kids who have some earned income. Then might as well open a Roth IRA because you can't open a Roth IRA or an IRA unless you have an earned income. You can't. So any income you earn, you can do it. And I recommend a Roth IRA. I mean, that's my recommendation.
A solution for that, guys, I like what Imad just brought into the table, is passing your income into your kids. That way you're kind of like minimizing your tax liability because you're moving it from a larger tax liability to a smaller tax liability. And also you can give them an opportunity to put the Roth IRA.
Exactly.
Can you repeat that suggestion again? And there's some noise in the background, by the way.
When you are self-employed and you're making enough money and you're making profit in your company and you want to shift that income to your kids, you could give them a W-2 income. And that way they can lower your tax bracket because now they're reducing your profit, they're getting it on their end, and they could start building a Roth IRA on that side.
15. So it's like these are the nighttime flights.
Nighttime.
Yeah.
Can you guys mute everyone in the background?
I can, but okay. I mean, because we're talking, I didn't want to mute you all. Okay, so I think we can. If nobody have any questions, it's very interesting subject that we talked about. I know that, and that's why I said the subject of taxes. It's a subject you talk about every day, every month. If you're a business owner, it's not just because of that preparation.
Seminar follow-up for.
We could, I mean, for people, business owners, self-employed, we could go into details about their Schedule A, about their deductions. We could schedule another seminar if we have the crowd who are interested in doing that. But a lot of good things we talked about today. You can email either one of us if you have any questions after tonight. We'll be more than happy to answer it. So if there are no questions, then I think we can conclude our seminar. Any
والله
questions?
عيسى فادي وساهر الصراحة يعني سيمينار كتير ممتاز الصراحة. يعني المعلومات اللي قدمتوها ممتازة جدا. يعني بتمنى انه ناس كتير يستفيدوا منها، واكيد الموجودين حاليا استفادوا من هاي المعلومات. يعني اعطيتوا معلومات جديدة، يعني ما حدا حتى احنا الاهالي ما بنعرف about the graduate students. ويعني المعلومات بشكل عام يعني قدمتوها بطريقة بروفيشنال، يعني مبين واضح جدا قديش انتوا experts in your field. و really thank you. I think this is an excellent program. يعني انتوا حطيتوا وقت وأعطيتوا معلومات مفيدة و answered يعني the questions of everybody's mind. يعني هاي الشغلات موجودة في حياتنا اليومية يعني. thank you so much عن جد يعني.
يعطيهم العافيه
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. تصبحوا على خير.
شكرا شباب.
عيسى ما تنسى توقف الريكوردين عشان نقدر نشير الفيديو على الفيسبوك later.
Yes, I just did.